Or, look at this. Bill, look.
And she looks so funny. She has all this wonderful clothes.
Ready?
And then she's got this old-time bag on her arm.
Jack, look in there.
Oh, okay.
Taking your picture. First. Hey, John, look. Who are you seeing there?
Nobody.
The attire never goes with that handbag.
Okay, Claire.
Maybe it's got. I'll try one of your tricks.
Yeah. Mary.
Hi, Mary.
And you turn it around, now I can see it. Now watch. Guess who's doing it?
My choppers.
Can you see your own picture?
Right.
There you go. Do it out for Jack.
There you go, Jack.
All right, make some movement now.
You move now.
Oh, sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can I direct your attention to our host?
You want to please bow your head for one moment. We'll have, we'll say grace over this food.
I meant to ask her about that. I'm about to ask her about that.
She had black hair like a father.
I saw that the other night. I meant to say something to her. I forgot.
My husband lived in California before that even service. He's not a good father, so he should do well.
There's nothing wrong with Syracuse. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's a good school. I mean, it's well, you know. Alumni of that place, you know, you should hear them talk. We have a neighbor that's from there. He just thinks, you know, there's nothing like Syracuse.
It's just a hell of a place to be in the wintertime. That's all.
He's liking it. That was good food. Yeah, very good.
They were always.
Boy, that's fun.
Oh, I know.
So I like him. I'm in his way here. I'm going to have my shoulder in half your pictures, probably.
You're not in my way.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
All right, say cheese.
How smart the parents got in those few short years. And that's the only thing I can say and that's the only thing I can credit my own self to, is that I've tried to pattern myself after everything that Dad's taught me and told me.
I just like to congratulate Granddad on being here. I really like to say, I think you all remember a show from TV probably in the 70s. It was called, I think, That's Incredible, where they would tell you things about, you know, amazing feats that happen in the world. My granddad saw a show called This Is Incredible. It wasn't That's Incredible. And we were sitting around playing cards one night, and he's like, "Did y'all ever see that show? This Is Incredible?"
This is incredible.
And coming from an Italian family myself, he says, "Did you see where those crazy Italian wops were running their head through through the vaults to get to that Italian sausage?" And we didn't make any sense to us either, but all I remember is, you know, everybody's sitting around playing cards, and nobody could stop the tears from coming out of their eyes from laughing so hard. The stories that my grandfather can tell is amazing, and I love him for the humor that he's brought to my life, stories he's told about my family and the generations, and stuff that I know I'll pass down on my family. Happy birthday, Granddad. We love you for everything.
Well, all I got to say is you really got it.
I remember my grandmother telling me that
when I was born, Uncle Harry was about 10. And he went out in the corner with his buddies and he bragged that he was about 5. We lived 2 doors from my grandmother. She lived at 1035 William Street. We lived at 1039 William Street. And it was Christmas Eve, about 11:30 or 11:45, somewhere around there. But my littlest sister at that time, blonde lady over in the corner, she was a baby, and she was crying in her crib, and she woke the rest of us kids up. Nobody else, there were 4 of us, and nobody else was home. So Rosemary and Mercedes and Franny and I carried Franny down the winding staircase in our row house, and we saw the Christmas tree. And we were playing with the toys. And Uncle Harry came out of his house, wherever he was going, I don't know. But he wasn't going to midnight mass like the rest of the people.
Bid on that.
But he came in and he carried us back up and put us back to bed.
Thank you, Bill.
50
Anybody else?
years old, and when I think of the time that I felt the safest and the most cared for, was I would be asleep in the back of the car coming back from Baltimore visiting the grandmothers at Christmas time. And you'd wake up in the back of the car and I'd see my dad at the wheel and smell that smell of sugar and flour and cigars and know that I was in the care of the strongest, best, most loving man in the world. I love you, Dad. I never did lay a glove.
She was a spoon lady, I'm gonna tell you what. She could put a soup spoon on your back of your head that you wouldn't believe. Anybody else?
I'm Robert. I'm Harry's nephew also, from Balmer. A little story I would like to relate to you guys are about my father, Tommy, and Harry. They used to go mushroom picking. Now, they had to leave South Balmer to go into the woods to find these little critters. Now, you may think that mushrooms are mushrooms, but they're very elusive little devils. They hide under pine needles, and they do have little legs, and they walk around constantly. So they're just not, if you may see one there now, later on will be over there. My father and Uncle Harry used to have a problem getting to the mushroom ground. It wasn't the distance in mileage, it was how many taverns they had to stop to get to it.
I knew he was going to say that.
I do recall my father instilled one thing in Uncle Harry. He says, never buy whiskey by the shots. It's too expensive. Get a half a pint.
Yeah, half a pint.
And to the best of my recollection, whenever they went mushroom picking, it took 4 half a pints to get there. I suspect it probably took 4 half a pints to get back. I don't recall ever seeing any mushrooms that they captured in the wild wilderness in the Mushroom Kingdom. But they were really happy when they did get back. That's true. But happy birthday, Uncle.
Did bring him to my mother and she wanted
Quick! Look out, they're shooting at us now.
Anybody?
Chicken.
This is him. Yeah, this is him, Greg. You remember him. Well, he slimmed down some. This is my brother-in-law, Flip.
I was glad it was my turn. I'm Harriet's husband. And Harry's son-in-law. Both of them filled me with great joy. I was 16 years old. Was I ever 16? But I was 16 when I was first graciously welcomed to Tall Timbers. Actually, that's not true. Between Evelyn and Greg in the back, they did their best to make it clear that I was an outsider. As I progressed from 16 to 18 to 20 and progressively fell more in love with my wife, Evelyn made it clear it was acceptable that I was around as long as there were others that were around. It was all right with Harriet. Any of that, as time went on, as a number of people have said, the one that was discouraged was Evelyn. The one that always stood in the background was Harriet. This is a family. My family is everything to me. Being part of Harry's family has meant a lot to me. I have two heroes in life. One is my father, one is Harry Grimes. For the 35 years that I've known him, he has been consistently of a type that never complained, never acted like the world owed him a living. And as years have progressed, it's become easier for us, for people, to sit back and bitch, say, this is what I'm owed. Harry never did that. That's why he's my hero. Happy birthday, Pop.
I think I can go along with that and echo that sentiment. That Flip has put forth, and also she has a lot to say.
No, really, I had a big speech prepared, and my husband said,
Okay, Carl, thanks a lot.
my husband told me I had to say this. I am lucky beyond my wildest dreams to have married him. That's a guest of honor. Happy birthday, Dad.
I gave her this great build-up, now it's just short speech. Throw it out and be no problem. Believe the other half.
Give me that one.
Thank you, Vic. My little brother has handled this whole affair. He does most of my work as far as the family goes because I'm no longer in Maryland to handle any of it, so I rely on him. He does a wonderful thing with everything he does. 60 years ago in Baltimore, my mother introduced me to a man named Harry J. Grimes. For the first 25 years of my life, he and I bumped heads, and I swore on the Bible that I would never be anything like Harry J. Grimes. And after those first 25 years, when I looked in the mirror every day, I would say to myself, oh my God, I'm becoming Harry J. Grimes. There were times I contemplated cutting my throat while I shaved. But I didn't. And the more I became Harry J. Grimes, doing all the things that I said I would never do, I do. I am Harry J. Grimes.
And
Thanks, Greg.
to be.
What about you over there, fat boy? You want to come up here and talk to us a little bit?
Sing the chorus of "You Are the Wings."
Well, this is the newest son-in-law here in the family. It's been about 5 years. I am just totally impressed with the love and the warmth that so many of you, and I keep meeting more and more of you. I can't believe it. There's just more and more every time I turn around. Every time I come out here, there's more and more. And I'm just really proud and happy to be associated with all of you. And especially the old man over here with all the gray hair. But Happy birthday, Pops. We love you. Thanks, Chris. And believe you me, we certainly enjoy having you here. I need a story here from probably, let's see, my newest nephew-in-law, yeah, Mark P. Sherry. This is Lee Ellen's husband, Harriet's newest son-in-law. Why don't you tell us about the cigar, Mark, please? Whatever, how they turn your neck green, like you did Flip.
No, that was from Shane.
That was from
I think I got a different story that I think you guys will find amusing. And I hope I'm telling this right. So I'm gonna have to get a lot of cues from you, Lee. If you start shaking your head, then I'll have to think up another story. But it was when you guys were in kindergarten, right? Okay. I can take it from here. My lovely wife and her lovely cousin there, Lee and Steph. Geez, what the hell was it? Steph. Oh, Lee was visiting Steph. Was it out here? Piney Point Elementary School. You may have noticed it on your way to Granddad's house if you guys were there. If not, I'm sure you'll see it one day. Maybe not. But anyway, Lee was visiting kindergarten and just happened to be show and tell day. So they said to Granddad, Granddad, what should we do for show and tell? And Granddad had a great idea and whispered it in their ear. So they went to school the next day, and sure enough, it was time for show and tell. And they got up and said, how did that go?
Do the cheer, girls. Do the cheer. Do the cheer.
Do you guys want to do the cheer?
Do the cheer. Do the cheer for it. We can't reenact the whole thing. We can't really do that. So this is a cheer that our grandfather told us to do in kindergarten for show and tell to get an A. Because we wanted to get an A. And remember that I was just visiting.
If you wanted to get an A.
Right, I was just an A. So I would say this is what he told us to do. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 5 is 9. You show me yours, and I'll show you mine.
You get sent home by the principal.
I had mine out of kindergarten.
Thrown out of kindergarten.
And I was thrown out, and we're the youngest ones in all of Piney Point to be thrown out on a vulgarity charge.
But seriously, I'd like to say happy birthday to you, Harry. You're tough as nails, and I love you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, lady. Bob, I can't believe you taught that kind of stuff to people that young.
Hey, look, he's showing
I really
the
can't
pom-pom.
believe you did that.
He's showing the pom-pom motions now. He's doing the pom-pom guy.
Is there anybody else? Stephen? Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, you. Come on, you can wake up and tell something.
Hello, I'm grandson Steve, Val's son. To think of, and let's see, I got one for you. Make it clean. Granddad, think of how to word this. He may have an honorary PhD in home medicine. Maybe. I don't know if I can come up with all of them, but he's done things with WD-40. That shouldn't be legal. I think the gist of it was basically you take one open wound, you douse it with WD-40 and you wrap it tight in gauze and I don't know, cook it. I'm not exactly sure what he did, but he did things to his own body that is unbelievable. He's after he inflicts pain on himself, I think he thrives on making it worse, but he swears that he's heard this and read this in, I don't know, maybe the Farmer's Almanac or something, I don't know. But if only I had all the details, but I just remember every time I turned around, it was either Noxzema or being used in unreal ways or WD-40, or he did some incredible things, but yeah, especially anything that had to do with, what was that, liquor and honey? Vinegar and honey, oh, okay, that's good for arthritis. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that whatever he's done, maybe it's turned to formaldehyde or something, but it's good, and he's still here, and he hasn't aged in about 100 years, because when I look at him, he seems like he's the same granddad I've had since I was born, and that's the most amazing thing, I think, is that there's always granddad. Everything else can change, but granddad's always there, and we love him.
He's my hero too, and the way I would relate that is to tell you the story. I think it was at my mom's 50th birthday party. He's the only man I've ever seen play volleyball with a beer in one hand and a cigar in the other hand, and return everything that came over. I don't know what he was striking the volleyball with, and I don't want to know. Actually, I'm tired of people telling granddad stories, picking on my granddad. So what I've decided to do is tell a Harry Jr. story. I mean, what better way to exemplify granddad than to tell a story about his son? Actually, I just heard this story. I never knew this story. Greg just told me this story, so I'm borrowing this one from you.
Greg's right here.
Yeah, that you, Greg. You just told me this story. Honest to God's truth. Tell me if I get it wrong, because I was only this tall when it happened. But down at the house, right? And Biff came running back down the hall and started crying to Greg and saying, he's crying, and what's wrong? And he's holding his nose, and he said, Jeffrey pinched my nose. And so everybody's kind of laughing. I mean, I understand, well, Jeffrey's this big and you're this big. What do you mean he pinched your nose? He couldn't possibly hurt you. He's crying and everything. And he says, in the door. And Greg told me, on the side with the hinges on it, he stuck his nose through there, and I slammed the door. I think that's a great story. Cried like a sissy. So, you raised some really good ones, Granddad. And you raised Biff too, so.
What you all have to understand is that Jeff and I pretty much grew up together. Instead of being uncle and nephew, we were pretty much close like brothers, and even as far as age is concerned. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand where I got this nose from. But I guess now, the door story explained it. I thought it was from Dad, but, now that explains it. Anybody else? Anybody? Come on, don't be shy. I was wondering when you were going to get up here, folks.
One of my beautiful sisters.
Thank you all. I wanted to say something jolly and cute and sweet, but mostly just that I love you, Dad. And I'm very glad to be here and to see all of you. And thank you so much for coming. It's such a wonderful tribute to him and to us and to the lives we've all lived. And I really do. I have the best family ever. Thank you.
Without getting teary-eyed, and does anybody else have to come up here and say anything, or would anybody else like to? Because,
One last story, and then we want some dancing.
well,
I never spoke in into one of these things. How do you do? Am I all right? I just want you all to know that that's the nicest guy that I've ever known. And when Evelyn brought him into the house, my mother and I were in the kitchen. I'm going to tell us this story. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we're Lithuanian, you know. And she said, "Do you know what, Flossie?" I said, "What?" She said, "His pretty boy."
And he's still a pretty boy.
Yeah, he's still a pretty boy. But she said, "You know what? His, she put that S in there. He's a pretty boy." I said, "He sure is." And she loved him, and I do too. I still love him.
Thank you, Lawrence. The only thing I can say is, from myself, personally, to all of you, both family and friends, all,
Those few of you who slipped in for just.
thanks so much as far as human nature goes, and as far as the family instinct goes. And I was beside myself when I started getting calls and letters and everything else, as far as the people that were going to show up, the people that really care about that guy right there, the one with the big shit-eating grin on his face. There he is. Happy birthday, Pop. We all love you.